coming from Luke 16 through, no, yeah, Luke chapter 16, verse 19 through 31. And I really don't have no topic or anything like that, but this is about the rich man and Lazarus. Okay, I'm going to read verse 19 to 31. Okay, it says, there was a rich man who would dress in purple and fine linen, feasting lavishly every day. But a poor man named Lazarus, covered with sores, was lying at his gate. He longed to be filled with what fell from the rich man's table. But instead, the dogs would come and lick his sores. One day, the poor man died and was carried away by angels to Abraham's side. The rich man also died and was buried. And being in torment in Hades, he looked up and saw Abraham a long way off, with Lazarus at his side. Father Abraham, he called out, have mercy on me. Send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I am in agony in this flame. Son, Abraham said, remember that during your life you received good things, just as Lazarus received bad things. But now he is comforted here, while you are in agony. Besides all this, a great chasm has been fixed between us and you, so that those who want to pass over from here to you cannot, neither can those from there cross over to us. Father, he said, then I beg you to send him to my father's house, because I have 5 brothers to warn them. Because I have 5 brothers to warn them, so that they won't also come to this place of torment. But Abraham said, they have Moses and the prophets. They should listen to them. No, Father Abraham, he said, but if someone from the dead goes to them, they will repent. But he told him, if they don't listen to Moses and the prophets, they will not be persuaded if someone risen from the dead. Okay, y'all can be seated. I should have told y'all that at first. Okay, so it's a couple verses that stood out to me, and it was where it was two different types of death. The rich man, he died, and he went to hell, and Lazarus died, and he went to heaven. And within that right there, what came to me is that we can't, we're not going to be able to get up from here with a load, like, weighed down with sin, weighed down with stuff that is not going to be in heaven. It's not going to, like lying, lust. There's all sorts of stuff that you just know is not in heaven. So what I don't understand is how it is that people say, they talk, I'm talking about grace again. Uh, People talk about grace as if Jesus didn't give us an example to follow. If we are supposed to go, if he gave us an example, those things that he did is what we supposed to be doing. So if he didn't smoke, he didn't drink, he didn't cheat on your husband, wife, or do all that sort of stuff. So I just don't understand how people can think that they gonna go to heaven doing those things. So that's what I got. And I know you probably said, "How she get out there?" Well, that's what I got out of that particular verse. Okay, down where he said about the chasm. Uh, and another thing too, dealing with he was aware. He was aware. The rich man was aware of that he was in hell, but he could look up there and see Lazarus and Abraham. So that's what stood out to me. Like, okay, this the Bible is an example of what we are supposed to uh, abide by, and then Jesus gave parables pertaining to uh, afterlife. Like, so what I got out of this was, um, you know, after all this is over with, it's something else. We're gonna live either in hell or you're gonna be in heaven. So the thing that stood out to me is that he could look up there and he could see Abraham. So what if after all this is over with, it would be a real torment to look at people, because he said in there about the prophets, Moses, and all that coming to people trying to get them to come to the Lord and stuff. What if you see your auntie or your mama up there in heaven, but you down there, and you able to see that all of that activity going on just like this man did? He was able to see the fact that Lazarus was at peace and he wasn't. So to me, that's like torment in itself, with you dealing with your choice to not choose Jesus over yourself, because basically that's what it is. If this rich man could have gave Lazarus. Lazarus didn't even ask for a plate. He asked for the crumbs. And the rich man had more than enough. He could have gave him food every day. He was at his door. So he didn't see fit to even help him. And it's gonna come a time in this life that we gonna need one another. With the way things are going, we gonna have to come together down here before we get to heaven. Because if you can't come together as sisters and brothers here, I don't see how a person can figure like you gonna go to heaven and you can't love each other here. So I I just thought and I looked up chasm, and I looked up. I kind of had an idea of what it was, but it makes me understand a little bit better. It says um a mark, division, separation, or difference, a deep cleft in the surface of the planet, such as the Earth. So, and another thing, this time, I'm gonna do exactly what God got me to do. I'm not gonna just leave without knowing that God has finished what is being said. Cause sometimes I move a little bit too quick. Okay, it's another verse. Okay, about the 31, 31, where he said, but he told him, if they don't listen to Moses and the prophets, they will not be persuaded if one risen from the dead. And so over in Luke 24, see, Luke 24, I think it's 24, 24 and 24. Okay, Luke 24 and 24, it says, some of those who were with us went to the tomb and found it just as the woman said, but they didn't see him. He said to them, how foolish are you, and how slow to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Wasn't it necessary for the Messiah to suffer these things and enter into glory? With Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted for them the things concerning himself in all the scriptures. So this right here verse, uh, Jesus is letting them know that he was with the prophets. He was went right here. I'm gonna read it again. The beginning with Moses and all the prophets. He interpreted for them the things concerning himself. So Jesus rose from the dead, and people, not believing, so they not believing, certain, people not believing that Jesus even did what he said, what is said in the Bible that he did. But that is, that's a reason for that, because God's people believe, the word, and you know, it's just, uh, it's just that we gotta believe Him at His word and know that He is God. He is who He said He is, and in order to really manifest the things that we desire in our life, we gonna have to trust God, and we're gonna have to believe Him, and believe that He is a God that is faithful to do exactly what He said. Let's see, make sure it's 16. I'm gonna go back to 16. Okay. What out of the whole thing, to sum this particular uh, these verses up, that like God give us, He give us money to be a blessing, and some don't participate and do things like He want us to do it, but everything that and then it is said in the Bible that the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just. So when God blesses us with the money, we need to be found doing exactly what He want us to do, instead of doing selfishly, like this rich man here. He just really was focused on what he wanted. He wasn't focused on helping nobody. He wasn't focused on just doing nothing but being about self. So um and I think uh that's pretty much all I got. But I'm gonna say this: dealing with the the invitation to Christ. You know, we we was told to compel them to come. To come to Jesus so they can, so His house can be full. So, if it's anybody that desires to, be saved, desires to, uh, live a life for the Lord, you repent and ask Him to come into your heart. And once you repent and ask Him to come in, you find a church home somewhere. Ask God to lead you and guide you where you need to go and get fed. Uh, because He gives pastors after His own heart to for those people that He have places for you to be, so you can be fed. So that's pretty much where I can get. Yeah, that's pretty much it.